Year 12. In this series of videos, I'm going to go through the solutions to the 2022 Maths Advanced HSC paper. But before we start, I'd like to say this was a fairly straightforward paper, and it's a really good one to tackle if you're looking for some exam practice. So my advice is to stop the video and set some time aside and actually do this paper under exam conditions and see how much you can get right. Then come and watch the videos. Here's question 1. Which of the following could be the graph of y equals negative 2x plus 2? Now we're expecting this to be a nice easy question, so you should be getting this one right. We can see that the gradient is negative 2, so it's downhill. Cannot be C or D. We can also see that the y-intercept is at 2, so can't be here, it has to be A. Question 2. Consider the following data set, 13, 16, 17, 17, 21, 24. Which row of the table shows how the median and mean are affected when a score of 5 is added to the data set? Okay, so in terms of the median, with our original data set, the median would have been 17. When I add the 5 in, it's going to still be 17, isn't it? If we cross off from both sides, it'll become this 17. So the median stays the same. Now, what about the mean? By putting in a score of 5, that is going to lower the mean. So we want the mean to change and the median to stay the same. So it has to be D. Question 3. A tower BT has height h meters. From point A, the angle of elevation to the top of the tower is 26 degrees as shown. Which of the following is the correct expression for the length of AB? So that's here. Now, curiously, we don't know the height of the tower, so that's making it a little bit confusing. But we have got the opposite side and the adjacent side, so we have tan. So tan 26 is equal to h over x. Now we want the length AB, so that's this one here. So I want to make x the subject. I'm just going to switch those around. I'm basically multiplying both sides by x and then dividing both sides by tan 26. I'm just going to do it in one go. So, x is equal to h over tan 26. Now, of course, that's not here, is it? You can see that it's not going to be this one. And cosec is 1 over sine, so it's not that one there. A lot of people would put this because they're a little bit confused and they see the tan, but that's not the answer either. Cot, of course, is 1 over tan, so this one here is equal to h over tan 26. And so our answer is B. Question 4. Which of the following is the range of the function f of x equals x squared minus 1? You really need to graph this. We know y equals x squared is a parabola. It goes through 0, 0. And I'm going to vertically translate that down 1 unit. So it goes like this. And this point here will be 0, negative 1. We want to know the range. That is the set of y values. So we can see that this will go everywhere from negative 1 up to, but not including, infinity. So we're looking for a square bracket for negative 1 up to infinity and a round bracket for infinity. Which one is that? That is A. And question 5. Let h of x equal f of x divided by g of x, where f of 1 is equal to 2. F dashed of 1 is equal to 4, g of 1 is equal to 8, g dashed of 1 is equal to 12. What is the gradient of the tangent to the graph of y equals h of x at x equals 1? Now this is becoming an increasingly common question. You can see that h of x is a division of two functions and we don't know what the functions are. If we want to find the gradient of the tangent, that should mean derivative to you. So we want to work out what h dashed of x is. Now it is not f dashed of x divided by g dashed of x. Why is that? Because it's a quotient and we need to use the quotient rule, don't we? So we are going to do instead, let me see, this is u and this is v, so I'm going to do v, which is g of x, multiplied by u dashed, minus u, multiplied by g dashed, divided by v squared, so g of x all squared. Now furthermore, we want to know the gradient of the tangent at x is equal to 1, so we want h dashed of 1. Alright, so I want g of 1, what is that? 8, multiplied by f dashed of 1, which is 4, take away f of 1, which is 2, multiplied by g dashed of 1, which is 12, all over g of 1, that's 8 squared. Alright, tidying that up, we have 32, take away 24, all over 64. 32 take away 24 is 8. 8 over 64 is 1/8. So the answer is D. Question 6. What is the integral of 1 over 2x plus 1 all squared dx? Now this of course is the same as the integral of 2x plus 1 in brackets to the power of -2 dx. And this is just a reverse chain rule. So taking my outside function, and I'm going to integrate it, that's to the power of -1, divide by the new power. And then I'm also going to divide by the derivative of the inside function, which is 2 plus c. Now all we've got to do now is tidy this up. This means that's going to go down the bottom, it's the reciprocal, and I'm going to lift the negative up the top. All right, so we've got -1 over 2 bracket 2x plus 1 bracket plus c, and that is B. Question 7. Consider the following graph of a probability density function f of x. What is the value of the mode? So remember, when we have a probability density function, all of these lines here represent the probability at different values of x. We want to know which one has the highest probability. So it's going to be at this point, isn't it? This point here is lower. Now that there is the x value, and this is the probability. We are being asked what is the value of the mode, not what is the probability of the mode. So we want to know the x value, that's pi on 4, so the answer is C. Question 8. The graph of the even function y equals f of x is shown. The area of the shaded region A is 1/2. The area of the shaded region B is 3/2, which means, of course, the integral would be negative here. What is the value of -2, the integral from -2 up to 2 of f of x dx? All right, so we know that this part here is going to be 1/2, and this one here, the area will be 3/2, but we don't want the area, do we? We want the integral. So that's going to be negative, and that's going to be negative. So we have got 2 lots of 1/2 take away 2 lots of 3/2. So 2 lots of 1/2 is 1, take away 3 is -2. The answer is C. Question 9. Liam is playing 2 games. He is equally likely to win each game. The probability that Liam will win at least one of the games is 80%. Which of the following is closest to the probability that Liam will win both games? All right, we don't know the probability that Liam wins a game, so we're going to call that P. Now the probability that he wins at least one of the games is 80%, and remember we can use the complementary event and do that as 1 minus the probability that he loses both games. Let's draw up a tree diagram. Here's our first game, win, lose. Here's our second one, win, lose. And probability that he wins is P, which means the probability that he loses is 1 minus P. And we are interested in this here, loses, loses. All right, so 1 minus the probability that he loses both games is equal to 80%. I'm going to write that as a decimal. I'm going to do something sneaky here. I'm going to put that 0.8 over to the left-hand side and this over to the right, and that just avoids this negative. So 1 minus 0.8 is equal to the probability that he loses both games, or in other words, the probability that he loses both games is 0.2. Right, as we go across the tree, we are going to multiply the probabilities. So that means 1 minus p times 1 minus p, or 1 minus p squared, will equal 0.2. Square root both sides. 1 minus p is equal to square root of 0.2. It's not going to be plus or minus because we're talking about probabilities, and probabilities are only positive. Again, let's switch this around. 1 minus the square root of 0.2 is equal to p. I'll just grab my calculator. What is that equal to? 1 minus the square root of 0.2, 0.553. Now, a lot of people would have stopped there and chosen C. We haven't actually answered the question. Which of the following is closest to the probability that Liam will win both games? So now we want to look here. Probability he wins both games is going to be P times P. So let's write that down. If I can get a pen, probability that he wins both games would be P times P, or P squared, so 0.553 squared. And on my calculator, I've still got that there, so answer squared, 0.301, or 0.305, sorry, 31, what is that? Oh, the answer is A. And question 10. The graphs of f of x and g of x are shown. Which graph best represents y equals g of f of x? So we've got a composite function. The most important thing to remember with composite functions is the output of f of x becomes the input of g of x. And basically what we've got to do is just plot some points and try and eliminate 3 of these. So let's start over here with the point at x equals 1. And I'm just going to make this up, basically. Looking at the scale, I'm going to say that this is the point 1, 1. So that means that f of 1 is equal to 1. So that output becomes the input over here, g of 1. Looking at the graph, 1, it's probably 1 as well. And so we're looking for the point x is equal to 1 and y is equal to 1. Now let's look over here. 1, 1, that's a possibility. 1, 1, yep. 1, probably not. And here, definitely not, so D is out. Okay, now let's have a look at the point x equals negative 1. So again, the y value is going to be equal to 1. So f of negative 1 is equal to 1. The output becomes the input, and we already decided that g of 1 was equal to 1. So we've got the point negative 1, 1. Okay, looking over here, negative 1, A is out. Negative 1, 1, possibility. Negative 1, no, C is out, and so our answer is B. Okay, that's it. In the next video, I'll go through questions 11 to 22.